Are shining in the postseason, starting with Victor Wembanyama. He is looking to get his first ring, and a championship would give the Spurs 6 titles, which would tie the Bulls for the 4th most in franchise. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could become the 4th player in NBA history to win MVP and a title in consecutive seasons, joining Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Bill Russell. Jalen Brunson is taking the Knicks back to the finals for the first time since 1999. With a championship, he could do something no Knicks player has done since 1973. Gentlemen, welcome back. Perk, we begin with you. Whose stock rises the most with the ring, SGA or Brunson?
Big body Brunson. To me, that's a no-brainer. We're talking about a guy that was drafted in the 2nd round, a guy that took so much heat once he was signed by the New York Knicks, one of the best free agent signings in NBA history. And look, when you talk about tough markets to play in, I played in Boston. I know what it feels like to be in that market. New York is a different beast. When you talk about sitting at a different table, if he goes out and win this championship, joining the company of Isaiah Thomas and Steph Curry for small guards, getting it done, leading their teams to winning the championship. When you talk about where he's going to rank for as an all-time great, somebody in that top 75 got to move aside. Big Body Brunson win this NBA championship, somebody got to move aside in that top 75. What he has done in the New York Knicks uniform has been nothing but a beautiful thing to see. He wins this NBA championship. He joins the company of Isaiah Thomas and Steph Curry. Somebody in the top 75 have to move out. And Jalen Brunson now becomes one of the best athletes ever in the New York area.
I didn't mention him in the question, but the answer is Wemby. If you're going to put it between Wemby, SJ, or Brunson, I don't even think it's close. I like the answer for Brunson. I think you make a compelling case. But if you envision a world in which Wemby goes on to beat OKC, trailing 3-2 in the series right now, and then beat the Knicks in the finals, think about that world we're living in. He's 22 years old. He'll have won his first chip before Bill Russell, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Shaq. The list goes on and on. Now, 2 stars that won a ring before him, Magic Johnson and Kobe Bryant, they had star power help. Magic had Kareem. Kobe Bryant had Shaq. Wemby is the number 1 option in San Antonio. He's the reason. He's the big ticket option. This OKC team 1 year ago, we were talking dynasty with them. If Wemby comes along in year 3 at 22 years of age and takes them out, and then takes out this historic Knicks team that's doing things we haven't seen before at 22 years of age, he is the one that catapults to face of the league, passing all the guys we've been talking about the last few years, Stephen A., Ant-Man, and everybody else who we thought, who's the next face of the league? It's Wemby, and it's over. A chip for him means more than any other player in the business right now.
Very articulate, very eloquent, very wrong. Perk is right, you're wrong. Okay? Listen. When you think about Jalen Brunson, let's understand something here. Right now, I'm going to give you some stats, and then I'll get into a bigger picture. Since he arrived in New York with the Knicks 4 years ago, he's 5th in terms of the 61% of his regular season games that he's won. He's got 35 postseason wins, second only to the Boston Celtics, 36. During the regular season, he is the only player in the NBA to average 25.6 assists and shoot 39% from three-point range. And by the way, in the playoffs, at 29.2 points per game, he is second in the NBA, only to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This is a 2nd-round pick who was a reserve, who the Dallas Mavericks were hesitant to give $53 million to. This is a guy that ended up signing with the Knicks for $100 million, $104 million. And there were some people saying that he was probably overpaid. He comes to the media capital of the world, and he takes over a place that Patrick Ewing once reigned in, that Carmelo Anthony once reigned in, that Bernard King once reigned in, that Walt Clyde Frazier delivered 2 championships to in the 70s, that Black Jesus, Earl the Pearl Monroe, was a part of, along with Bill Bradley and Dave DeBusschere and Willis Reed. And this brother, they played with each other. This brother don't have those cats, even though Karl Anthony Towns is no joke, and we appreciate Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and all of that other stuff. What they were in the 70s are not what these guys are. These guys are not in the year 2026 what those guys were considered to be in the 1970s, okay? So you got all of that as your backdrop. But then you bring into account it's New York. You bring into account it's the Mecca. You bring into account the age of Wemby is already here, Joe. He's already the face of the league. He's already a superstar in the league. He's already been deemed the future. You understand? And he's and not only that, say what you will, but he's 7'5". See, people look up to you and they know they can't be that because, damn it, they ain't 7'5". What made Steph Curry so special is that he was 6'3". What made Allen Iverson special? It's that he was 6'1". What made the guys that you could just look at, you go like, damn, they walking down the street, they look just like me. I'm just like, you ain't looking up to the sky and be like, damn, what's it like to be that? Because I don't know what that is. That's why they call Wemby an alien. You understand what I'm saying? Because he's one of one. He's one of a kind. For Jalen Brunson to come into the New York market, a market, by the way, that was hoping and anticipating that the combination of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would be the ones here instead of him. And to do what he has done and to watch the maturation, it's not like he just all of a sudden showed up, got in the first round. They lost in the conference semifinals. They lost in the conference finals. And now here they are in the finals. That's been the path, a constant level of ascension, leaning on the leadership of a dude that was supposed to be a role player. And instead, he's been a superstar in this league. And at a time when we're looking at a guy 7'5" and everybody's talking about he's the future, if you are Jalen Brunson, you become a champion under one of two conditions. If you knock off the 7'5" alien, or you knock off a reigning two-time league MVP and NBA Finals MVP and NBA champion who is considered the best in the business at his position, 6 inches taller than him. It's one or the other. And if he pulls that off for New York, there is nothing bigger than that. And it would actually save the NBA, and not that it needs saving, but save the NBA, Big Perk and Joe, in this regard. Rather than looking up and marveling at Victor Wembanyama and saying, how are we going to deal with that? A 6'1" dude showed you could eclipse them all if you lead and play the right way, which means the Darius A. Cuff Jr.'s coming out of college, who I interviewed yesterday. The Mikal Brown Jr.'s out of Louisville, who I interviewed from Louisville the day before. You know, the Darren Petersons of the world, the A.J. Bonzes of the world, the Caleb Wilsons of the world. The list goes. There's hope, because if Wemby wins, then it's like, damn, how we going to figure that out? If Brunson wins, you don't have to ask how you figured it out. The path has been shown. That's what he brings to the table, and that is immeasurable.
So now all of a sudden we're just going to have a bunch of 6'1" guys running around the NBA dominating? Is that what this is?
But
it inspires you and me to go play in the NBA?
No, but anybody who can't have that, you're not hopeless now. That's the point. You can't have that.
Hope for the NBA.
It's not everywhere. I'm just saying, it's going to be, if you beat them, yes. If you can't beat them, I mean, damn, that's a lot to look at. You got to look up at 7'5" with his skill set all the damn time. You're like, damn, how are we going to overcome this? But if it is overcome by a 6'1" guard, that says a lot about what other teams should be able to figure out doing down the line.
Herc, final word.
Yeah, and listen, every time we're able to get a one-up, we need it. When it comes to American basketball players standing on business. Because as we know, the MVPs have went to, the overseas guys, guys that are non-American basketball players. Anytime we could get a one-up, it's a great thing for America.
So genetics and patriotism is the argument for Jalen Brunson. It's hard to argue with that, gentlemen. Hard to argue with that. So we're going to move to the NFL, where things